One banana, 30 minutes before bed, 7 nights straight. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but a medium banana carries roughly 12 milligrams of tryptophan, the exact amino acid your body converts into serotonin and then melatonin while you sleep. The real question is whether that quiet overnight chemistry adds up to something you'd actually notice by morning. We tracked one person through every single night, and what the 7-day pattern revealed wasn't quite what anyone expected. We monitored a healthy adult who agreed to document their sleep and hunger. This was an everyday observer tracking a simple bedtime shift rather than a clinical patient seeking medical treatment. Before changing anything, they recorded night 0, a normal baseline evening filled with their typical sleep patterns, waking moments, and late-night kitchen visits. The protocol demanded strict consistency. Every evening for 7 consecutive nights, the observer ate exactly one medium, ripe yellow banana. Each fruit averaged about 118 grams, containing roughly 27 grams of carbohydrates, eaten 30 to 60 minutes before switching off the lights. The size and ripeness were kept steady to avoid shifting sugar levels, while surrounding bedtime habits, from room temperature to pre-sleep reading, remained as uniform as reasonably possible. Before taking the first bite, the participant set up a fixed daily diary to track bedtime hunger, sleep onset time, nocturnal awakenings, and morning energy levels. Their initial expectations were modest. Perhaps the small snack would quiet evening hunger or offer a comforting routine to make falling asleep feel a bit easier. Traditional advice often treats evening snacks as sleep aids, but this week-long experiment was designed to bypass general folklore and focus purely on what one person observed night by night. Eating a banana 30 to 60 minutes before turning off the lights fits how the body processes food. A medium banana contains about 115 calories, 27 grams of carbohydrates, and 3 grams of fiber. It also provides around 420 milligrams of potassium, 30 milligrams of magnesium, 0.4 milligrams of vitamin B6, and roughly 12 milligrams of tryptophan. While general sleep research shows that carbohydrates can shorten the time it takes to fall asleep, the timing here is deliberate. Digestion begins immediately, and within an hour, the fruit's carbohydrates trigger a mild insulin release. This process helps clear away other amino acids, allowing the small amount of tryptophan to reach the brain with less competition. Inside the brain, it serves as a building block for serotonin and melatonin, the hormones that regulate sleep. The tryptophan in a single banana is far below therapeutic doses, so it will not act like a heavy sedative. Instead, the combination of mild digestion, muscle-supportive minerals, and stable blood sugar simply creates a comfortable window for rest. With the timing and nutrients established, the observer was ready to start. Night 1 began at 10:30 p.m. At 10:30 p.m., the participant sat down with the first banana. They noted a mild, nagging evening hunger, the exact kind of craving that usually leads to a less planned pantry raid for chips or cereal. Eating the banana took only a few minutes, and it successfully quieted that urge, removing any desire to forage for a second snack. By the time they switched off the bedside lamp at 11 o'clock, they recorded feeling comfortably satisfied. There was no heavy, overstretched fullness or digestive discomfort, just a quiet stomach. Then came the wait for sleep. The observer estimated they fell asleep approximately 15 minutes after lights out. This was a purely subjective observation. Their personal sense of drift, kept distinct from any objective tracker or wearable device. To the participant, sleep felt like it arrived slightly faster and more smoothly than on typical baseline nights. Waking up the next morning, the observer kept their initial morning impressions separate from how they felt at bedtime. They reported feeling reasonably clear-headed and rested. Yet a single night proves very little. It remains impossible to tell if this smoother transition was a direct result of the fruit, a natural fluctuation in their sleep cycle, or simply the psychological comfort of starting a new routine. After night 1, the question of repeatability was still entirely unanswered. On the morning of day 2, the participant compared their waking hunger directly with the baseline record. Typically, an empty evening stomach triggered a strong morning craving, but the banana kept early appetite stable. By day 3, the focus expanded to sleep continuity. The participant tracked nighttime awakenings, noting how easily they recalled waking up. Unlike the fragmented sleep of prior weeks, the transition between sleep cycles felt slightly smoother, even though they still woke up briefly during the night. They recorded the frequency and clarity of these awakenings to see if the interruptions were actually changing or simply becoming less memorable. They rated their morning energy on a simple 1 to 5 scale to keep the daily logs comparable without mimicking a clinical trial. The observer reported a steady, moderate wakefulness, free of the usual morning fog, making no claims of a sudden physical performance surge. By the third night, the bedtime ritual had settled into a neutral, comforting habit. Rather than growing more certain of a biological cure-all, the participant became more disciplined with their record-keeping. They realized that these repeated daily entries, compared day by day, offered a far more informative picture than any single isolated morning impression. This disciplined tracking transformed the experiment from a casual personal diary into a structured, self-controlled study. The search for clinical data leads to the 2024 Kaiser trial, the only human study to directly test a bedtime banana. Researchers in Turkey tracked 21 adults diagnosed with primary insomnia, dividing them into 3 groups. For 6 weeks, one group ate a small banana 45 to 60 minutes before bed, another drank whole milk, and the third had no snack. By the end of the trial, the banana group showed improved scores on the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index, or PSQI. This index is a self-reported questionnaire where patients rate their own sleep habits, sleep depth, and morning tiredness. While these subjective scores improved, the study lacked objective measures. The researchers did not use polysomnography, the sleep lab equipment that monitors brainwaves, nor did they use motion-tracking actigraphy to verify actual sleep. Additionally, blood tests analyzing metabolic hormones and brain proteins showed no clear chemical differences between the groups. Because the trial was small and focused entirely on people with chronic insomnia, the results cannot be easily applied to a healthy person eating a banana for 1 week. Broader sleep science confirms that evening carbohydrates can shorten sleep latency, but those studies use varied food types and large nutrient doses. No clinical trial has ever verified a predictable 7-night outcome for an everyday bedtime banana. The existing science provides a modest signal and falls short of a definitive verdict. A banana's nutritional profile changes as it matures. A green, less ripe fruit contains more resistant starch, which digests slowly in the system. As the fruit ripens, this starch converts into free sugars, which enter the bloodstream much faster. People also differ substantially in how their bodies process this sugar. Data shows that about 41% of individuals experience a sharp glucose spike after eating a banana, an effect that can actually suppress melatonin and disrupt rest. Many believe the potassium in a banana prevents nighttime muscle cramps, but it does not stop them unless a person is already deficient in the mineral. Digestion also naturally slows down during sleep. Eating any food close to lying down can cause it to linger in the stomach, leading to heartburn, bloating, or reflux. A nutritious snack is poorly timed if it causes physical discomfort, which completely defeats the purpose of a bedtime routine. Safety boundaries are essential. Anyone managing diabetes, using glucose-lowering medications, or living with advanced kidney disease and potassium limits should follow qualified clinical advice rather than trying a home experiment. This also applies to those with latex allergies who can experience cross-reactive allergic reactions to banana proteins. A bedtime routine should never be forced if it repeatedly harms sleep or digestion. By day 6, a critical observer must look beyond the fruit itself. If sleep has improved over the week, is the banana actually responsible? Bedtime consistency alone plays a massive role. Going to bed at the exact same time every night, cutting off evening screens, and limiting late-day caffeine or alcohol can quietly transform sleep quality on their own. There is also the matter of sleep debt. If the participant started the week exhausted, 6 nights of structured routines might simply be the body catching up. Human psychology also introduces expectation. Believing a bedtime snack will help can trigger a placebo effect, making sleep feel more restful than it objectively is. This connects to a statistical reality called regression to the mean. If the baseline night was unusually poor, subsequent nights would likely improve naturally, regardless of what was eaten. Comparing the entire week's average to the normal baseline, rather than just picking the single best morning, keeps the data honest. Simple diaries and consumer wearables offer helpful estimates, but they are not clinical proofs. The question remains, is this subtle pattern strong enough to carry into the final night of the experiment? On day 7, the final log entry goes next to the night 0 baseline. Comparing this single baseline night with the average of all 7 intervention nights reveals the actual extent of any shift. For our observer, the recorded entries might show a slight drop in the time it took to fall asleep, or they might show that nothing changed. Even an outcome with zero noticeable change remains a completely valid result. If the observer experienced stomach discomfort or reflux, that too serves as clear evidence that a bedtime banana simply does not suit their digestion. It is important to separate the physical feeling of bedtime fullness from any perceived sleep change. Satiety, or simply feeling full, is easy to mistake for improved sleep when it actually just quieted a late-night craving. A brief 7-night personal run cannot establish medical causation or predict long-term health outcomes. A single week of tracking offers no basis for claims of weight loss, blood sugar correction, major energy boosts, or chronic insomnia treatment. A nightly ritual isn't about finding a miracle cure, it's about listening to your body's unique rhythms. In a world of complex health trends, the simplest, most mindful habits often teach us the most. What does your bedtime routine look like? Let us know in the comments.